Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, children of God. Welcome back, dearly beloved. This is day 109 of the 365 days of the Bible reading challenge. This is a resolve to read through the Bible in 365 days. This is day 109, and we continue reading through the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. But how we are reading it is that we are reading it chronologically. So we are not reading it, book after book after book as they are arranged in the Bible. We are reading the Bible, how events followed each other. So we have done quite a journey, and we continue. Today we are reading about how Saul was surrounded by the Philistines, or Saul's last battle. That is how we can call it. Today we are finishing the book of 1 Samuel because we are reading 1 Samuel 28, 29, 30, and 31, and then we'll be reading Psalm number 18, I believe. Is it Psalm 18? Psalm number 18. That is what we will be reading. That is what we will crown up with. Now we have read 1 Samuel 28, and we have heard how the Philistines came up to fight against Israel. And when King Saul saw how mighty they were, or how big the company was, he was so afraid. He tried inquiring from God. God did not speak to him, so he decided to use a woman with a familiar spirit, and the woman called forth a spirit, and she called forth Samuel, and Samuel told King Saul that the same way I told you when I was alive, you are going to die, and tomorrow you and your sons are going to join me where I am. And he told him that your kingdom has been taken, or God has taken the kingdom from you and has given it to David. So already King Saul knows that he is going to die on the following day. Then, so we have read 1 Samuel 28 up to 19. So we continue from verse 20, and the Bible says, "Then Saul fell straightway all along on the earth, and was sore afraid because of the words of Samuel. And there was no strength in him, for he had eaten no bread all the day, and nor all the night. And the woman came unto Saul, and saw that he was sore troubled, and said unto him, Behold, thine handmaid hath obeyed thy voice, and I have put my life in my hand, and have hearkened unto thy words, which thou spakest unto me. Now therefore I pray thee, hearken thou also unto the voice of thine handmaid, and let me set a morsel of bread before thee, and eat, and that thou mayest have strength when thou goest on thy way. But he refused and said, I will not eat. But his servants together with the woman compelled him, and he hearkened unto their voice. So he arose from the earth and sat upon the bed. And the woman had a fat calf in the house, and she hastened and killed it, and took flour and kneaded it, and did bake unleavened bread thereof. Verse 25, which is the last verse of 1 Samuel 28, says, And she brought it before Saul, and before his servants, and they did eat. Then they arose and went away that night. So we are told that when Saul was told that he was going to die, and that God is going to give Israel into the hands of the Philistines the following day, he was so weak. He became so weak because he had not eaten for a whole day and a whole night. But the woman, and the servants that were with him compelled him, and he ate, and then they went away. 1 Samuel 29 verse 1, the Bible says, Now the Philistines gathered together all their armies to Aphek, and the Israelites pitched by a fountain which is in Jezreel. And the lords of the Philistines passed on by hundreds and by thousands, but David and his men passed on in the rearward with Achish. Then said the princes of the Philistines, What do these Hebrews here? And Achish said unto the princes of Philistines, Is not this David, the servant of Saul, the king of Israel, which hath been with me these days, all these years? And I have found no fault in him, since he fell unto me, unto this day. And the princes of the Philistines were wroth with him, and the princes of Philistines said unto him, Make this Pharaoh return, that he may go again to his place which thou hast appointed him, and let him not go down with us to battle, lest in the battle he be an adversary to us. For wherewith should he reconcile himself unto his master, should it not be with the heads of these men? Is not this David, of whom they sang one to another in dances, saying, Saul slew his thousands, and David his 10,000s? Then Achish called David and said unto him, Surely as the Lord liveth, thou hast been upright, and thy going out and thy coming in with me in the host is good in my sight. For I have not found evil in thee since the day of thy coming unto me unto this day. Nevertheless, the Lord's favor thee not. Wherefore now return and go in peace, that thou displease not the laws of the Philistines. Verse number 8. The Bible says, And David said unto Achish, But what have I done? And what hast thou found in thy servant so long as I have been with thee unto this day, that I may not go fight against the enemies of my lord the king? And Achish answered and said to David, I know that thou art good in my sight, as an angel of God. Notwithstanding, the princes of the Philistines have said, He shall not go up with us to the battle. Verse 10. Wherefore now rise up early in the morning with thy master's servants that are come with thee, and as soon as ye be up early in the morning and have light, depart. Verse 11, which is the last verse of Samuel, 1 Samuel 29, says, So David and his men rose up early to depart in the morning to return into the land of the Philistines, and the Philistines went up to Jezreel. Now, that is the last verse of 1 Samuel 29. And David was ready, I don't know how, but David was ready to go and fight alongside Achish, and fight against, his brethren, fight against the Israelites. But the princes or the lords of the Philistines said, no, we cannot go to fight with him, because he might go and get there and then turn against us. And so David had to return. And I think this is God's way, of protecting David not to shed, blood of his brothers, okay? So 1 Samuel chapter number 30, verse 1, the Bible says, And it came to pass when David and his men were come to Ziklag on the third day, that the Amalekites had invaded the south and Ziklag, and smitted Ziklag and burnt it with fire, and had taken the women captives, and were therein they slew they slew not any, either great or small, but carried them away and went on their way. Verse 3, the Bible says, So David and his men came to the city, and behold, it was burned with fire, and their wives and their sons and their daughters were taken captive. Then David and the people that were with him lifted up their voices and wept until they had no more power to weep. And David's two wives were taken captive, Ahinoam, the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, the wife of Nabal, the Carmelite. And David was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his son and for his daughters. But David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. Now, David, I think this is now to show us that what David had decided to do, to go and fight alongside the Philistines, to fight against his brothers, was wrong. And we see this because now when they returned to their camp, that is in Ziklag, they went and found that the Amalekites had actually attacked their village and taken their wives and burnt their houses and taken their children and taken their animals. The Bible tells us that they had killed nothing. They did not kill anything. They did not kill the sheep, nor the women, nor the children, but they took them alive, like they wanted them to go and become slaves to them. And so the people actually turned against David and wanted to stone him, because it is him that had told them to go with them, to fight with the Philistines. So they were actually blaming David. But the Bible says that they wept until they had no power anymore to weep in their bones or in their bodies, and they wanted to stone David, but David encouraged himself in the Lord. Verse number 7, the Bible says, and David said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, I pray thee, bring me hither the ephod. And Abiathar brought thither the ephod to David. And David inquired at the Lord, saying, shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? And he answered him, pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. So David went, he and the 600 men that were with him, and came to the brook Besor, where those that were left behind stayed. But David pursued, he and 400 men, for 200 aboard behind, and which were so faint that they could not go over the brook Besor. Verse 11, and they found an Egyptian in the field, and brought him to David, and gave him bread, and he did eat, and they made him drink water, and they gave him a piece of a cake of figs and 2 clusters of raisins. And when he had eaten, his spirit came again to him, for he had eaten no bread nor drank any water 3 days and 3 nights. And David said unto him, to whom belongest thou, and whence art thou? And he said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant to an Amalekite, and my master left me because 3 days agone I fell sick. We made an invasion upon the south of Cherethite, and upon the coast which belongeth to Judah, and upon the south of Caleb. And we burned Ziklag with fire. And David said to him, canst thou bring me down to this company? And he said, swear unto me by God that thou wilt neither kill me nor deliver me into the hands of my master, and I will bring thee down to his company. Now, that is where we put a pause. We will come back for part 3 of this Bible reading journey, and maybe have some time to explain a little bit what is happening. The King James Version is a little bit hard to understand. The English is it is not the same English that we are used to. So that is why I take time to explain a little bit of what is happening. So let's take a break, come back for part 3, and continue and conclude this book of 1 Samuel, even as we head towards the end. God bless you.